What's up, gamers? We are here with Shackcast number 6. Marvel's Avengers State of the Game is the topic for today. We're going to talk a little bit about where the game is at right now and kind of where I project it to go in the future, and of course, my current thoughts on the game. So, I'm not always doing reviews and stuff like that. I don't really consider that a fruitful use of my time, but I will share thoughts on the game. Generally, I enjoy the game. It is a game that I enjoy playing more than most games that I have available to me right now. I find it to be the game that I come back to. It's kind of that game that I've been waiting years and years for, which is just a really good superhero game where I can just roam around the city and beat up bad guys, with a good story, which I think we did get a great story out of this game. The story of Kamala Khan and the Avengers as a whole, and the dueling and the conflicting, without really treading over too much of the MCU stereotypes and storylines that we've already been through over there. They're telling a unique story over here with AIM and MODOK and all this other stuff, and they're aiming to put in new Avengers as the game progresses through the Avengers initiative. I did buy this on the PlayStation 4, and I play this on a standard PlayStation 4 console, and I have a gaming PC as well that I purchased the game for. That is running on a 1070 NVIDIA 1070 EVGA GeForce GTX 1070. And the game does not really run particularly well on either. The PlayStation 4, you have a lot of depth of field, a lot of blurring stuff, and they gave us the option to turn off motion blur to set it to a desired level. But depth of field is oftentimes very overwhelming, and there's other issues that when too many things get on screen, things pause, things get flickery, things get weird, the frame rate doesn't hold steady. And on consoles, we're locked at 30 until we get into next gen, which they're saying, probably the PS5 and Xbox Series X version of this game will run at 60 frames, possibly more, but probably just 60 is where we'll be at. PC loving it at 60 frames, but once again, a lot of the same glaring issues of performance problems, that there's too much on screen, too many details. It ends up overworking a GPU and a CPU that are more than well above the recommended specs for the game. So once again, still, since the launch of this game in early September, we've been just a little over a month into this game, and we're still just not properly optimized. I'll say it that way. But yeah, no issues with the story. I think the gameplay is fun. They've patched over 1,000 issues with the game, as I've seen in some of the patch notes that they've released. You can really see that the developers are concerned about this game and that they're here to stay. And so I think the community in general, just the gaming community as a whole, very much sees this title being a games as a service being a very negative connotation. But I think it's better to have a game like this, especially for something that evolves. Comic books are always evolving and growing, and stories are changing over time, and that's what this game can do. So it sucks when you have a comic series and then you read it and it's, let's say it's 6 issues, and then it's over. They're never going to add to that ever again. But when you have a series that's ongoing, like the New 52 was out for a good length of time, Rebirth is out, and so you get to experience this arc for a very long time. And it may not be forever, nothing's forever, but these characters, you can tell stories, and you can even stop and reinvent. That's what comics are allowed to do. You can have events like Flashpoint where you can just wipe the slate clean. You can have multiverses, alternate parallel universes. You can tell as many stories as you can think up. So there's infinite potential, in a sense, for these comic book games. And so the games as a service really gets where people, we've been hurt by Division, Anthem, Destiny, Warframe, Remnant, name a million of them. Or even not even just limited to looter shooters, which are also in the games as a service category, but even you look at games like Rainbow Six Siege, you look at Overwatch, you look at all the changes that these games have been through and how they fund continued development of the game through microtransactions, which I think Avengers has actually done fairly well so far. I wish they would have more things in the store, but I feel like that's going to grow over time. And I like the fact that they're rotating some stuff in and out of the store, but it also doesn't feel like, oh, this is your only chance to buy this. I don't like that scammy kind of atmosphere because I want everything and I will buy stuff, and I already have. I've invested quite a bit of money in just buying skins on 2 platforms, mind you. So I'm really drinking the Kool-Aid. And I'm buying a lot of the same skins twice and stuff, but it's because once I've seen it, I'm like, oh, yeah, that looks good at 60 frames. Better go buy it on the PC. Yeah, there is a certain amount where they've gotten me there, and I appreciate what they're doing with the store. I think they could have done it a lot worse, but, there's always room for improvement, and I think it's really cool, the stuff that they have there. I think it's really cool that they have stuff that you can unlock through playing the game, although it's agonizing. I think I spent all my points on maybe 1 or 2 skins, the units, which are the in-game currency that you're earning by opening chests, completing stuff, doing things in the world. And I just haven't been able to replenish since completing the main story and grinding end game and stuff like that. I just haven't been able to get over, and granted, I'm not spending every waking moment on this game. The first few weeks, I was very heavily every day. But then I peeled back because I was like, I don't want to burn out on this game. I love this game. So I play it a couple times a week. I get my assignments done on multiple characters, and I kind of stretch it out, and we make some fun content with that. So that's kind of my thoughts on the game. It's not a game that's in crisis, but it's a game that needs continuous work, continuous growth, and a decent player base to it as well. And I think it's an underrated game that gets a lot of unjust hate. I think the games as a service thing is totally fine. I don't understand why people are mad about it. People that played Destiny, they beat the main story, trade the game in, they're done. I'm like, okay, I mean, you can do that. Like, the story's great and all, but like the bread and butter picks up after the story. And with Destiny, with Division, with every game, the end game is something that reviewers and even players to an extent are really heavily focused on, and I kind of disagree. I think there's plenty right now. If you're not playing this game every waking moment, which I think you shouldn't be, I think there's more to life than that. You can go outside. You can play other games. There are so many great games to play. I got a backlog of hundreds of games long. I mean, I think Marvel's Avengers is my favorite thing to play, but I don't want to hate it. Like I have with some of the looter shooters where, you just play them so much that you tap out on the content and then you're just begging them to drop more stuff. That's not fun. That's not fun for anybody. So that's kind of where I'm at on that. The games as a service, I disagree. I think, over time they'll add that end game, and I think drip feeding it like Destiny did, like some other games have done, has been really good. It's been effective in a way where they can't just drop an entire expansion and then you play it for a week straight and then you're done, it's gone, it's over, and then you're like, okay, well, where's the next thing? And then you're like, well, it took us a year to make that, man. Come on, why do you tap it out in 10 minutes? So, we have a lot to look at there when it comes to endgame. So, yes, there is more stuff coming. They have talked about how S.H.I.E.L.D. is going to have their own forward base, a social space that will be able to go there, pick up bounties, and do things. So that'll be a whole new social space. But they've been saying for a while, it's like, oh yeah, it's coming out, here in a few weeks, about a month out, and now we're over that. So it's, we're getting close to where, they're going to have to drop something because, Player base is down. It's less than 2,000, I believe, on Steam. And that's just, that's the nature of this type of game. People are going to finish the story, or maybe they won't. Maybe they'll trip on all the bugs. Maybe their rig can't even run the game, which is something I struggled with, even though I'm above the recommended specs. People are going to come back, but you do have to give them a reason, and a lot of people may not. Some people just tap out on the main story. They're like, great, that's all there is. They're not interested in grinding levels or, improving characters, unlocking skins, any stuff like that. So, the challenge card. Challenge cards are available on all the characters, right? And they function essentially as a season pass. You're able to unlock cosmetics and units and different types of materials for crafting and nameplates and emotes and really cool stuff like that. Takedowns as well. So everything there, that's sort of your progression in the game. And I haven't maxed out those on anybody because I haven't been straight up addicted. But I am enjoying the game, and that's the first thing I do. I come in, I get my assignments, I look at the challenges on each of the characters. I'm like, okay, which one of these can I get done so I can get 11 skill points off of this, and 3 points off of that one, and 3 points off of that one, to be able to progress my challenge card per character throughout the week. So I actually really enjoy that progression, despite being someone who absolutely hates season passes, whatever you want to call them, these progression things where they're timed. No, this is great. This is great that it's not timed. I can work on it at my leisure. I'm doing well. Cap is over halfway done with his. Other characters are progressing quite well as well. And I'm not rushed. I'm not, there's not content. Here's what I like. There's not content yet that's going to just disappear forever. I'm okay with there being stuff, like Halloween, Christmas content or whatever. But having content that you work so hard to make and then just throwing it away forever. Not good. So yeah, challenge cards, assignments, cosmetics, they have talked about. The devs have spoken on how there are a lot of skins that are just color swaps. So it'll be one design and then 3 or 4 different colors, another design, 3 or 4 different colors. I'm personally pleased with what's in the game now, and I'm trying to unlock a lot of that stuff now. But yes, I do agree, they do need design changes. Maybe the ability to allow us to just color swap them ourselves, to be able to, once we unlock this skin, okay, I can trade it out in black, white, blue, green, whatever makes sense. Or and they could limit which colors are able, because we don't want to see pink Captain America running around. So as far as that goes, cosmetics, a lot of changes on the way for that, could be interesting. I find that has been a very slow and grindy process, unlocking the cosmetics. Character builds is something that keeps you busy in the end game, despite whether there is new content to play, new areas to go to. Just the fact that you are trying to level up these characters and then assign those perks appropriately to create a build that maximizes your character's potential. For example, my Black Widow is able to go invisible for pretty long lengths of time. She's able to get enough heroic orbs dropping via takedowns, via other things, to be able to constantly use Widow's Bite and to be able to use her ultimate ability and take out lots of enemies. And usually with my ultimate, I'll pop invisibility and do the ultimate. And by the time I'm done, I'll have taken down some big and heavy enemies, but I will also have regenerated my heroic bars and maybe even my ultimate by then. Same with Cap, the Brooklyn Brawler, which is his ultimate ability. I've found that since I have the perk that allows takedowns to restore that energy and add time, I believe it adds 3 seconds per takedown, and takedowns pause the Brooklyn Brawler timer, which means I can just keep adding, make that Brooklyn Brawler stretch out while I'm also earning more heroic orbs so that I can use Brooklyn Brawler once I'm done using Brooklyn Brawler within a reasonable amount of time. It's pretty amazing when you can get a great build going that suits your play style and does what you want it to do. Repeating missions variety. Okay. Yeah, it is a little, you get tired of going through the same city or the same aim labs. That's true. Variety is needed. But I think that there are enough factors within those missions, much like in the game Payday 2, Left 4 Dead even, where you may have the same maps, but they will have different circumstances. Maybe doors and loot chests and other things will be in different places. You never know how the enemies will attack you or what the enemies might even be. So even if you're familiar with the map in a sense, there's enough variety there in a sense that it could be helpful. Villain sector impressions, I am not impressed. The Taskmaster and Abomination fights within the main story were some of the highlight moments, and it got me really excited about the potential for boss fights in the game. But when they are put into these villain sectors where you're fighting as the entire Avengers team against this character, it just becomes, for me, it becomes a range game because you can't get close because otherwise they're going to hit you with unblockable attacks and AoE stuff. And then Abomination, I don't know if this was a glitch or what it was, but once he downed someone within his AoE, he was able to do like a big smash attack and permanently like kill that character. I would not be able to stand in the circle and revive him. And I couldn't get in the circle to revive them because Abomination had the gamma gas around him. So that was killing me while I was trying to revive someone while there's limited health in the arena. I just think those need a serious rework because basically what they've done with the bosses is they are just a lot of health and you just have to sit there and pummel them, and that's not fun. The Taskmaster and Abomination fights were actually legitimate fights. I would put them right up there with Dark Souls, with Batman, Arkham bosses. I mean, they were phenomenal. But whatever's going on with the villain sectors, and whether it's just a struggle to adapt these characters to a multiplayer battle format, I understand that's very difficult. So I'll give them some leeway on that. But once again, I'm not impressed with villain sectors. In fact, I usually dread playing those. We talked about new cosmetic skins. We've got new characters on the horizon, right? Kate Bishop and Hawkeye should be coming at some point. We do have leaks that Black Panther is on the way. Doctor Strange at some point. Of course, we know that Spider-Man will be coming sometime next year. There's a lot to look forward to there, and I think once they drop a new character, that'll revive the game a little bit. But they're definitely going to need to work on a lot of other things to keep this game going, to keep it as part of our treasured, part of our gaming backlog here that we'll always want to return to. The last thing I want to talk about is New Game Plus. Someone brought this up in the forums, and they actually responded to that. A lot of people bought this game for the campaign and would like to be able to replay the campaign without having to delete their save and character progression and all the loot that you've probably spent hours and hours and hours grinding. It's a great story, and with the patches that they've done since, I'm sure the story mode will run better. A-Day did not run well for me. The final mission ran abysmally, so much that I played it off stream when I did it on PC. I didn't even record it. That's how bad it was. It literally would not run. Now that's bad in the sense that you want people to experience the story and the highlights of your story, and you want that to run at a consistent frame rate. You want that to be an enjoyable experience because that's what people are going to talk about. They're not going to talk as much about all this other stuff. They're going to talk about the main story and how they felt and what it was like. Oh, yeah, when I got to that one part and punched MODOK in the face, but then, oh, no, it froze for like 10 minutes and then I wasn't able to play. Yeah, that's a problem. So it gets me a little passionate, but I think there's so much value And they could create challenges upon replaying the main story. Destiny, Division, they've done this. It's bread and butter. Go back, replay those main story missions, get some value out of them, enjoy those moments that were so incredible. Because they really were good. Anyway, that's my current thoughts on the game. If you have any questions, concerns, or if you'd like to provide some feedback, please do so in the comments down below. You can find this on YouTube. You can find this on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. I'm Aaron Shack64, and this has been episode 6 of the Shackcast podcast, The State of Marvel's Avengers. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.